So the Heat lost to the Bucks 103-120, ending their 2021 season with a highly disappointing sweep, becoming only the third team in NBA history to lose in the first round after a finals run. Due to this, quite obviously, there have been posts and such calling their 2020 run a bubble fraud and that they made it only to the finals because of a fluke. Today, I'm going to be talking about three things: recapping their recent game, and talk about if their bubble was really a fraud, and finally, what they should look to do this off season and what changes they had this season. I'd like to remind you guys to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter to talk to me about the ongoing games almost every day. Link will be left in the description. Starting off with their game against the Bucks. As mentioned before, they lost 103 to 120. They started the game well with a 4-point lead into the first quarter and a 7-point lead at the half. Their offense, which has been god awful all season in this series, was finally running. Trevor Ariza started off hot and their threes were falling. Bam defended Giannis for the first quarter and throughout the first half, which barely let Giannis score in the first half. Jimmy Butler had a better playmaking game and survived Giannis' defense on him. They took more advantage of Lopez's drop coverage. Bam was hitting his mid-rangers and floaters. Kendrick Nunn showed up and Tyler Hero finally had a good game. But well, their game ended when the third quarter started. Bryn Forbes, Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday all went off. They were 13 of 35 from the three after the first quarter. The Heat offense got stagnant again from the second half. They scored only 39 points in the second half and got outscored by 24 points. Giannis turned it up on the defense and locked down Jimmy Butler. They closed out in championship fashion, smothering the Heat offense. This game was just highlighted the weakness of the Miami Heat and glorified the strengths of the Bucks. The Bucks have upgraded their rotation level this season. Bobby Portis, PJ Tucker, Bryn Forbes, and Jrue Holiday over Ersan Ilyasova, Wesley Matthews, Kyle Korver, and Eric Bledsoe is a massive upgrade. DiVincenzo's injury will hurt them more than most people think, and I will be talking about it in my later video. Now, this game out of the way, let's first talk about the changes the Heat made this season and what they should do in this upcoming offseason. Jay Crowder, Derrick Jones, Kelly Olynyk were all playing rotational minutes at the wing and the fourth position last year. Crowder provided another locker room presence, a very streaky shooter who was hot in the playoffs. He was an above average interior defender and an excellent perimeter defender. They tried to replace him with Trevor Ariza. Ariza had not played a minute until he came to the Heat this season. He's much older and much smaller than Jay Crowder. He's not the same defender he used to be, and they couldn't use him as the body for the wall defense, which Crowder played an important role for. He got cooked by Giannis all series long and was terrible from three. John Collins, Kawhi Leonard, and Kelly Oubre are some wing defenders who might be in the market next season. With Duncan Robinson, another sharp-shooting wing who they're going to have to re-sign, they have a lot of options for this offseason. They probably will not take Iguodala's team option of 19 million. They'll get rid of Ariza's 12 million contract, Bjelica's 7 million, and Oladipo's 21 million, and they have a lot of money now. As good of a playmaker as Jimmy Butler has become this season, I still think they need a better playmaker. They can throw a bag at Kyle Lowry, who's also an unrestricted free agent who was rumored to be coming to this team during the trade deadline. Tyler Hero, the most controversial player on this Heat team, did not have a great playoff series. He came into the season with a lot of expectations after that exceptional bubble run. He did not live up to the expectations but actually had a solid underrated regular season. He's slowly embracing the sixth man role but is quite inconsistent and inefficient. But the problem with Hero was his trade value. The Heat rejected a James Harden trade offer because they didn't want to give away Hero. That aged terribly. I know James Harden might not fit into the Heat culture, but he's still one of the most talented offensive players of all time. Imagine his playmaking and scoring on this team. Yeah. I understand them not accepting the Kyle Lowry trade because they might as well get him this offseason, and I don't think he would have made a difference in this series, and he was not worth the rental for half a season. Him being the reason the Heat didn't get two bona fide stars led to many people hating on Tyler Hero. I don't know his trade value this offseason, but I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with him. And this is why I like the Heat losing this early, this quick, and this embarrassing. They've been hit hard and they have to make a decision. They have to decide if they want to spend time in developing their players and waste Butler's prime, or take advantage of Butler's prime and get stars for winning now. They need better playmaking, better offense, and better wing depth. All this I expect them to address this offseason because I trust their organization. Now let's discuss their bubble run last year and if it was a fluke and the Heats are so-called bubble frauds. Let me make it clear in the start. No, it was not a fluke and they were not frauds. Let us discuss why. The Heat last year in the first round swept the Pacers, which would have happened bubble or not. Then they played the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's see what the Bucks have changed since last year and this year. Giannis is playing 6 more minutes per game this playoffs. He was Butler's primary defender, while last year he was only help defending even in the clutch. Offensively, Giannis wasn't nearly as effective due to the Heat's amazing wall defense consisting of Crowder, Bam and some bigger bodies. All these bigger bodies aren't on this team this year or are not nearly as good as they were last year. And the players Giannis was passing the ball to hit threes to get away from this wall defense last year were Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, who was constantly guarded by Butler, Ersan Ilyasova, and an old Kyle Korver who couldn't hit a shot to save their lives. This year it was Drew Holiday, a very hot Chris Middleton, a very hot Brian Forbes, and corner specialists in PJ Tucker and Bobby Portis. Last year, the Bucks did not switch a single screen and dropped on every screen. Harry and Robinson therefore had open looks throughout the series and hit all their shots. This year, they were 8th in the league in switching and did not let the Heat hit shots. All in all, the Bucks were beat by the better team. They were outsmarted and outcoached by Eric Spoelstra and would have won the bubble or not. And that is the reason Mike Budenholzer is getting so much credit this season. The pressure put on him to make changes, which he resisted to make throughout the last postseason, was the reason they lost the series. And this season he has been making changes, which was the reason they won this series. And I do not believe even it was a bubble or the not, Mike Budenholzer would have made those changes, which he did this year. Finally, their conference finals matchup against the Boston Celtics. The Celtics were the perfect matchup for the Heat. The Celtics were an isolation-driven team. This was not the same Jaylen Brown last year, and Kemba was their second most used ball handler. Brown did get the ball more in the playoffs, but it was still Kemba who had a higher usage by a slight margin. Kemba was and still is not a very great playmaker. There was very little ball movement and arguably their best playmaker, Gordon Hayward, was injured for the start of the series. No one on the team could guard Bam and his versatility. Playoff Dragic was on song and Tyler Hero had that exceptional game and won it for them. Jason Tatum was very inefficient due to the Heat's amazing defense on him. Bam protected the rim at an elite level and had that iconic block on Tatum in Game 1. Marcus Smart was forced to take many shots and he missed many, shooting a mere 39% from the field. The Heat had an amazing defense and an exceptionally hot offensive series. Their threes were falling and they straight up outplayed the Celtics offensively and defensively. And the main reason this Heat series wasn't a fluke is their finals run. They took a team led by arguably the greatest player of all time, along with the most dominant big man in the league, to 6 games without their second and third best players. Call this a fluke? The Heat team showed heart. They were selfless and amazing throughout the bubble run. And bubble or not, I could see the Heat making the finals 9 out of 10 times without being surprised. I'm not defending their current playoffs. They deserve every bit of criticism and trash they're getting today. But don't take the credit away from their exceptional run. It's one of the best Cinderella stories in recent history and taking credit away from that is not justified. Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I recap the playoff games in 3 to 5 minutes and make up videos such as this once in a while every time I feel something needs to be addressed.